o'clock and your mind is thinking about stuff. Let's think about that, shall we? With another Midnight Thought.
Hey, it's Maher, and I'm thinking about something that I heard earlier today on the radio. But I'm thinking about that because I'm scrolling through Facebook and there's a NBA sports highlight on my Facebook feed, which for one is completely out of the ordinary because I don't really watch sports. It's not my thing. It's not my jam. So to see sports, it's like, yay, okay, but why is Facebook showing it to me? But what really caught me off guard was I was listening to the sounds in the background, and it was a little too loud to be what I would consider to be a safe game. And you know what I mean by that is it's 2020. We can't gather in crowds of hundreds and thousands. So to hear a large enough crowd in the background of a sporting event kind of threw me off guard. And then I paid a little bit of attention, which I watched some basketball. Yay, that was fun. I didn't know what was going on. I think someone scored some points. But I noticed there were empty seats in the background, of course. People on the side court were wearing precautions like masks and gloves. But there were no one in the stands. And it still sounded like there were people there, which led me to look into it. And indeed, there were sounds of fake crowds. Not only that, the crowds were reacting to what was going on in the game, which led me to think that behind the scenes, somewhere in the production office, there's a guy at the soundboard who's got a master board of different buttons, just like I've got right here. I can play sound effects like that crowd. And they've got different types of crowd cheering effects to react to what's going on. And that person's probably back there pushing different buttons, watching the game, reacting live to give us the perception that, there's interaction and there's energy in the court, which is kind of weird. Not weird, unusual. But then again, the unusual stuff has become the usual stuff now. Anyways, that kind of led me to think about the only things that I care about is where can I gather in a large crowd, and where I can't gather right now is a theater. And usually the biggest theater event of the year is the Tony Awards, which usually happens in spring. Tony Awards are the biggest awarding event in, I want to say the theater industry, but I want to be realistic and say North American theater industry, because I want to say that on the West End, the Olivier Awards are going to be as equally recognizable in my opinion as a Tony Award, because they're just as good. But you have to open up on Broadway during the Tony Award season in order to qualify. So obviously if you're playing on the West End, you don't qualify because West End is not on Broadway. But with that, what I was thinking about was back in the beginning of spring, Tony Awards were supposed to happen, and a few musicals have yet to open up during the season. I think it was 16 or 17 different shows that were supposed to open and didn't get to open up. And we ended up not getting a Tony Awards. Obviously, with not being able to have a theater season, you can't have an award season if there's no shows. And usually what happens is CBS is the network that broadcasts the Tony Awards live on TV. And they didn't want to put on some sort of digital online Tony Awards event for the season if we still didn't have the ability to open up shows on Broadway and make qualifications. So they ended up saying, no, we're not going to do it. We're going to pull the plug. And I think it really all came down to viewership numbers, because over the past few years, the viewership of the Tony Awards has kind of been going down, and I guess not so many people are tuning in live because we've grown into such a digital age that we can find the Tony Award recap on demand just like that. We log online, we find it on YouTube, we can search it, we can Google, any quick search will just give it to us, and if anything, we'll find it on our feeds the next morning in our scroll. So, there's a lot of money that comes behind the scenes to put on a production. like an online streaming special event. So this year it didn't work out for them, and I guess for them it all came down to money.
Thinking about money. This thought brought to you by QuickBooks for the self-employed. Start your 30-day trial for free at sponsoredthought.com so you can quit thinking about managing your money. Now, back to whatever we were thinking about.
So, what CBS was doing, they ended up pulling the plug on the whole online digital streaming event, and they ended up I laugh a little bit. They ended up broadcasting a sing-along version of Grease, which I have no problem with, but to understand the magnitude of this, it's like if you cancel the Stanley Cup and you give us a community hockey game with no production value. Still great. The sport's great, but it doesn't satisfy the need that we have for that large community scale huge event, So CBS played that sing-along event. I'm sure intentions behind it were good, but we're still left with this need for the Tony Awards to happen, and that was always kind of in the air. We thought there's always kind of rumors behind the scenes in the industry. Not like I'm part of it. I'm kind of just saying that everyone talks, but there's always discussion and discourse that there was going to be some sort of mini online event for the Tony Awards. Maybe that was going to happen. We never really knew. But we finally got a confirmation. That's what I was thinking about. I heard it earlier today on the radio. Tony Awards are going to happen. That's super exciting. But what they're not going to do, it's not going to be a live event. And what I mean by that, it's not going to be a live streamed event on TV. So it's going to be an online only stream event. So CBS is out of that. They're not going to be joining on board. And the only way to watch the Tony Awards will be streaming it online to whatever they're going to be doing on for this new event. I guess there's still lots to think about in terms of what they're going to be doing for this event. They haven't put out much information about it. Again, it was just announced earlier today. But it still puts this excited idea of, oh yeah, we still might have some sort of award season. It also kind of leads me to think of what's going to happen with the shows that couldn't open on Broadway and the ones that were scheduled to open on Broadway but don't get to open on Broadway. There's a couple of musicals like Mrs. Doubtfire. They were supposed to open. They didn't. What is it? Diana. Diana has yet to open up, which they're also going to be putting it out on Netflix. In another episode, I talk about a thought that I had about how Diana and Netflix are kind of going back to back with marketing at the same time to promote a Netflix original series. I was thinking about the way that was working. But another one of the musicals that was not going to open, that was actually set to open but didn't open, was Six, the musical. And that one holds a sore spot for me. I really kind of wish this one opened up because I was honestly hoping it would sweep the Tony Awards this year. If you guys don't know, currently I am in Edmonton, Alberta, which is in the western part of Canada. And Six, the musical, played one of the preview runs here in Edmonton at the Citadel Theatre. Citadel Theatre is a really, really nice space. I really enjoy that theater. And what I'm most bummed about is I was not able to see this show. That show. I have yet to see that show. I wish I could. And I was kind of thinking that Edmonton had this lucky spot that if you play a preview show here, you're going to win, because the last show that played previews before going to Broadway was Hadestown. And look what happened with them. Hadestown did pretty well, didn't they? I don't know. Those are my thoughts.
That's enough of this thought for now. If you think you want to think about this thought some more, visit heyitsmahair.com for everything else this kid gets up to.